Welcome to my channel. I'm Ricky, and Boy Under the Bridge is all about the journey to the brighter side. Today, I'm coming through to you on the screen of whatever whiz-bang piece of technology you're on to talk to you about something old school, journaling. The practice of disconnecting from the world and reconnecting with yourself. I've been journaling consistently for 10 years, so I like to think I know a thing. Or 10. Yeah, I actually own 10 years worth of hardcover journals. They're not with me, they're in my childhood bedroom, which is in another state. And every night I go to sleep hoping my parents are not reading them. But this video isn't about my trust issues or my Snoopy parents. It is about journaling, and I want to talk to you about the benefits of journaling, why you should start, a bit about my practice, and how you can get started. In the wise words of Little John, who's, I don't know, maybe an avid journaler, let's go. So, why should you journal?
Why do you have a diary?
To keep secrets from my computer.
Okay, you know what?
Well, that's one of the benefits, but the 5 that I'm going to talk to you about today are emotional processing, problem solving, self-awareness, perspective, and creating a narrative for your life. Starting with 1, emotional processing. Do you ever look at a toilet and go, I should clean that? Well, our heads are the same. Even though we use them every day, shit still builds up. Journaling keeps your head clean. It gets rid of any gunky thoughts and emotions that have managed to build up. It's like when you just had a good D&M with a friend or had a cry and you suddenly feel lighter. There's a term, catharsis, which is the process of releasing and working through repressed emotions, and that's what journaling helps facilitate. Of course, the benefit of having a journal compared to just talking to a friend is that you can dump on your journal as much as you want. A journal can't get overwhelmed, ignore your message, leave you unread, or just leave. Our lives are so busy, we're so caught up in playing certain roles and getting things done that I don't think we really get the chance to truly check in with ourselves. Our true emotions and feelings constantly get pushed down, which can lead to them just building up and things eventually just spilling over, which is definitely not good or healthy. Of course, while journaling, there might be emotions that you encounter that are particularly difficult. If that happens, you should definitely slow down and leave things there. You might need to work through them with a therapist. In fact, journaling goes great with therapy. Your therapist may even suggest journaling as something you do in between sessions. Number 2, self-awareness. So there's something called a Johari window. You can Google it, but the gist of it is that there are several sides to every individual. There's the side that everyone sees. There's the side of us that we keep from other people and only we're aware of. Then there's the blind spot, which is a side that other people see, but we don't see. And then there's the unknown, which as the name implies is unknown, and we don't know about it, and either do other people. Journaling as a practice helps us to expand our self-awareness. It gives us insight into our blind spots and into the unknown. It's an opportunity to discover new things about ourselves, and part of the reason of this is because of the perspective it creates. After you write something, you then have the opportunity to step back and look at it from a bit of distance. This is very different from being in the experience itself and often very emotionally involved and invested. As you journal, you might also notice that there are certain parts or personalities to yourself. Journaling can be a way to work with them, get to know them, and in some cases even heal and resolve the ones that are particularly troubling. Very common ones are the inner critic and the inner child. My inner child is having so much fun making these videos, but then there comes my inner critic, which says you're wasting your time and no one wants to watch your videos. Which is why you should totally subscribe and comment to shut my inner critic up. It may sound counterproductive, but working with these parts of yourself and giving them a voice can actually loosen their hold on you. For example, I'm fully aware of my inner critic. I still carry that fucker around, but he's not as intrusive as he used to be. Number 3 is problem solving. Now, compared to just sitting there and thinking, Journaling can help us really work through problems. The advantage of having a journal compared to just sitting there is that you don't get lost in distractions or lose your train of thought, and the process of writing itself builds momentum and allows insights and ideas to flow better. If you've ever been in a brainstorming session or done idea mapping, you know what I mean. And to be honest, sometimes you don't have any solutions come to you, which is perfectly okay. Just the process of getting those gears turning can help you form solutions later. Number 4, perspective. Now this one's a favorite. There's a quote by T.S. Eliot that says, "Isn't it funny how day by day nothing changes, but when we look back, everything is different." And that's what I love about journaling, the ability to turn around and really appreciate the view and just how far we've come. This is partly because journaling gives us the unique opportunity to compare the here to then, or the then. A perfect example of the point I'm trying to make is how day by day, we don't notice that we're aging or changing, but when we pick up a photo from, say, 5 years ago, we're like, oh, wow, there's a difference. Keeping a journal and being able to just flip open a page is like having access to a time machine. You literally can just jump into your head from any time before. I probably wouldn't go anything below 25 because, to be honest, there's not much going on in there. One thing that I really love doing is flipping back and recalling the little treasured moments, the ones that otherwise I might have forgot, to the bigger ones. I'm talking about coffees with friends and little day trips here and there. Then I can also look back at things that I've experienced and lessons that I'm meant to be learning. And then there's the ability just to flip through and realize how stressed and caught up I was about certain things or worried. Doing this puts me at ease now because I can see that sure, things were difficult, but ultimately they just managed to resolve themselves. Things just work out. Number 5, the last one, is that it creates a narrative. In this world of celebrities, influencers, and people trying to become YouTube stars, I think we can forget that we have a story, and it is important. Journaling has encouraged me to really bring my attention back to myself and see life as this grand adventure and me the center of it, the hero, the star. It also got me asking some really big questions like, where is this going? I started to see every interaction and event in my life in relation to the greater plot, just like I would when watching a movie or reading a book. I believe we're wired to think like this, and it's part of the reasons why we love movies like Star Wars or Harry Potter, particularly because they follow the unfolding story of an underdog, which is a character a lot of us can relate to. A bit of homework, look up Joseph Campbell's hero's journey. I definitely don't mean to complicate things. This narrative view of myself emerged further on down the line, and when I did start journaling, I was simply just having a vent. But over time, a kind of voice started to develop. It was the voice of someone hopeful, ambitious, and striving for more, and thrilled to be on this adventure. Psychologists Carl Jung and Carl Rogers would call this the true self, or the self. The part of us that's in there that instinctively wants to grow and develop and self-actualize and turns towards the light. For me, the voice that started to develop is the same voice and character that eventually became Boy Under the Bridge. After 3 years of keeping a journal, I then opened a blog. A year later after that, I published my first book, Living in Cream. Of course, I never intended for any of this to happen, but journaling definitely was the catalyst of it. You don't have to open a blog now or ever. You can just write in a journal, and that's something that I still do. I don't trust my computer. Now that we've covered the 5 benefits, we can answer the question of how do you start? Well, you get a journal. There are many types of journals. There's ones with great artworks in them and quotes. You can even get journals in the theme of your favorite Nickelodeon show, but personally, I like to keep things simple. I opt for journals that just have simple lined paper. I used to grab them from the supermarket, they're very cheap, but lately I've now opted for the ones from Archleys. Write your mind. To write your mind. How clever! Archleys is great. I find that spending that little bit more on something a little bit upmarket makes me take my practice a little bit more seriously. And these are all journals, not diaries. Diaries have dates, where journals are just lined paper. I find that having dates boxes you into particular sections. And some days require a bit more writing. Not all days are created equal. Dear Journal, today I saw a dog and it was the best dog. You can use your computer or your phone, but like I mentioned previously, that opens you up to distractions. It breaks your momentum, and it also can get you hung up on backspacing and correcting things, when what you actually want to do is just get the process of writing happening and the ideas flowing. If you are stuck, Lisa Oliveira and Amy McNee both offer self-paced journaling courses that you can check out. Or you can also just follow my minimalist, or you can just do the thing that I do. I'm going to tell you what it is that I do. I start my day with the morning pages, and this is a term coined by Julia Cameron, who wrote The Artist's Way. The gist of it is that while you're asleep, you've got a lot of stuff going on in your head and processing. So morning pages is like waking up and taking that emotional cognitive dump. You simply set a timer and allow yourself to just write. 5 minutes is usually enough to get things flowing. See what comes out. Sometimes you can't go, nothing's coming out. In that instance, I just start with then an affirmation, or maybe write down what my goal is for the day. How you start your day can be incredibly powerful in terms of affecting how it unfolds. Throughout the day, I'll usually take my journal with me if I am going to work or uni. In those instances, if I'm reading something, I write down any interesting quotes, or if somebody says something to me that I want to remember, I write that down as well. I used to keep to-dos in my journal, but lately I've been transitioning to a productivity app called Notion, which is really great. Then come nighttime, I'll sit down with my journal again. I'll go through my victories for the day. Now these are the little wins. I feel that throughout life we can get so caught up in the big picture things that we forget the little wins that occur day to day. I might write down any snippets of conversations that I had, particularly if they were compliments and I want to remember them. I'll also take notes of joy or things of beauty that I saw in the world. An example of this is once I was walking, doing a lap around the block, and I noticed this little girl and a mother. The girl stops and opens up this envelope, and she looks at it, and it's a school photo of her, and then she looks up at her mum with the biggest smile. These are the things that, although they got nothing to do with me, they kind of affect how I consider and view the world. It's particularly great if you are prone to be depressive and caught up in negativity. It can show you that there's still beautiful things, enjoyable things, happy things out there. I think we really underestimate the impact that changing what you pay attention to can have on how you feel. Journaling literally forces you to notice good things. So in review, that's morning pages, things I noticed throughout the day, things people said to me, beauty, inspiration in the world, and gratitude. Now this might feel like a bit of a chore and a to-do list, but the point of keeping it short and brief is to make it not feel like a checklist and something that eventually becomes a natural habit. And that is a wrap for this video. Thanks for tuning in. I'd love to know what you thought. Particularly if you are a journaler yourself, is there anything that I've missed? I'm still very much in the early days of this whole YouTube thing, so any feedback is appreciated along with your support. And with that, I will see you in another video soon. That was complete improv, not part of the script.